Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. The leftist psyche. It's a real interesting phenomenon. Very often I'll play a video or I'll play a clip, I'll make one of these pieces and I'll say, let's delve into the mind of your average leftoid of the Liberal Hive Mind in some cases. When we analyze the collective mind of the radical left, well, today we do the same thing once again. I want to delve into the mind of your average leftoid. Sometimes I'll say something like your average leftist, feminist type, blue anon, Reddit activist. They just seem so miserable, They seem angry, either insecure or totally narcissistic. It seems almost as if there's like some sort of control or power fetish or this superiority complex. I'll say stuff like that all the time. I make those claims which, are pretty broad, and you may argue overreaching, you may argue they're stereotypes, but stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason, because they're clear, repetitive, obvious. They're there, for everybody to see, and that right there is essentially the point I'm getting at. Folks, everything I said earlier in describing a leftist, well, here's an 18-second clip going viral on the internet that pretty much backs up all of my claims, backs up my description entirely. This is your archetypical leftist right here, checking in all the frickin' boxes. Let's delve into the mind of your average leftoid. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, let's just play the clip and then get back to the description or definition.
This Thanksgiving, I am personally giving thanks that my family is already well aware that I am not a keep the peace girly, and that if they say anything remotely racist, misogynistic, transphobic, or otherwise inflammatory and gross, I will be starting some shit and finishing some shit. What are you grateful for today?
Remember what I said? Been angry, miserable, narcissistic, controlling, this false sense of superiority. All of it. Everything you just saw, packaged into one little neat box and presented to you in 18 seconds. In 18 seconds, everything I said about your average leftist was proven in real time with a real life example. I don't think I have ever seen the opposing side phenomenon in relation to clips like this. I don't think I've ever seen a Trump supporter record a video of themselves telling their audience on TikTok, I'm gonna disown my family. If anybody says anything that offends me or doesn't reinforce my worldview, well then I will start some stuff and I will end some stuff. Who speaks like that? It's insane. And yeah, I know. Leftists are gonna say, well, what do you mean? Right-wingers talk about politics at dinner all the time and at Thanksgiving and rub it in. Yeah, rubbing it in is one thing. Michael Knowles has that classic Thanksgiving video that he posts every Thanksgiving that people repost on Twitter.
Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
So, you guys hear Trump's running again?
And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel.
Leftists will point at this and say, well, right-wingers do the same thing. No, Michael Knowles is essentially making a joke that he's going to go to Thanksgiving and simply talk about Donald Trump, and then, well, the leftoids at the table, the cultural Marxist types that everybody has in their family, let's be real, the little septum ring snot-nosed cousins, that they're going to get triggered, start losing their ish and you know what, and that he's simply just going to find it funny and rejoice in it. That's kind of the narrative. I think that's the narrative for most conservatives, for most people who have leftist family members. We're going to show up to the table and we're going to say, oh, Donald Trump, he's going to win again. It's looking great for Donald Trump, and other people simply can't handle it, essentially proving the point that I'm trying to make further. Any leftist trying to make the argument that right-wingers are the same aren't making the argument that they think they're making. Actually, you're further strengthening my argument. Your average conservative shows up willing to have a conversation. I've seen it countless times. I've seen it thousands of times on the internet. Conservatives have no issue having conversations about ideas that they disagree with. They have no issue even having a cordial conversation with a full-blown communist, even though communism is tied to authoritarianism, suppression, oppression, and literal genocide to the tune of 60 to 100 million lives. Conservatives will entertain a communist and their ideas and will have a conversation. The conclusion of that conversation will probably be something along the lines of, okay, well, this communist individual is a complete moron and let's move on with our lives, and maybe there'll be some, fun poking, sure. The whole trying to censor people, the whole trying to enforce viewpoints, going to a family Christmas table or Thanksgiving table, attempting to be the thought police, or attempting to condemn your family members and disown your family because they have different political opinions, that only exists on the left. It exists only on the cultural Marxist left. I don't care what you tell me. I don't care what you say. You can make whatever argument you want. There is no argument to suggest that phenomenon exists, or at least exists equally on both sides. It does not. That is a cowardly cop-out. It's the typical both sides thing that we see a million times. Point something wrong on the left and, the classic ignorant argument is, oh, well, excuse me, but I believe that also happens on the other side. BTFO, racist MAGA bigot. I don't believe in political parties. Okay, we get it. You have a 7,000 IQ. You're so smart on both sides, but it's a load of you-know-what. It's a complete load of crap. It doesn't exist on both sides because we don't have the same sort of culture and rhetoric that exists on the right. The only thing even remotely close is kind of the conservative view on communism. I'd say if you ask any conservative, you say would you support the total eradication of communist ideas or communism in general? I think a lot of conservatives would probably say yeah. The issue is more with the idea, whereas on the left, it seems as though it's more with the individual. It's less about the ideas per se and more about the perceived boogeyman of a extreme Trump supporter and Donald Trump himself. If you ask conservatives, should we be exiling leftists, suppressing their ability to speak, banning them, putting them in gulags or re-education camps? Of course, some people are going to respond, yeah, let's do that in jest. I'm sure that's going to happen, and maybe some people will even believe it, but for the most part, you're not going to see that kind of sentiment. You ask the radical left, should conservatives go to re-education camps? And all these young radicals turn into freaking Hillary Clinton.
And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen.
And how do you...
They want to exile you. They want you to be banned. For Pete's sakes. Some of these young leftoid cult members would probably give up their own family members if they could. If there was ever a moment where we went to total 1940s fascism and there was a culture of reporting people to the government who don't fall in line with the communist regime, these young leftoids, even in your own family, probably some of them would be reporting you to the Gestapo. That's the kind of ideology that this is. That's the kind of cult-like groupthink environment that we're currently witnessing on the left. And it's because the rhetoric is insane. Again, conservatives focus on ideas. We attack ideas that we don't like, and sometimes we attack individuals who are morally corrupt or morally bankrupt, whatever it is. But leftists have bought into this narrative that you are a threat. You are a threat to democracy. You're a threat to Western civilization. And when you have that kind of idea, when you truthfully believe that kind of thing, that your peers are a threat or that something is a threat, well, then the only natural reaction, the natural response, is something akin to a white blood cell reaction. The only legitimate response is total eradication of said threat. And that is what leftists believe. That is 100% what leftists believe, at least in my mind. And again, we're making the distinction between your average liberal, your classical liberal, and the leftist. And I really want that distinction to be quite clear. We're talking about a radical minority, a mostly young minority, absolutely. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about your average, grassroots grassroots Trump supporter and your average, Bernie Sanders grassroots leftist. It's all a projection. The left is the side of authoritarianism. The left is the side that can't handle ideas that they disagree with or that make them uncomfortable, or ideas that go against the narrative that their TV box implanted in their brain. And here's yet again another anecdote that pretty much proves the claim that I've been making for years. Here's another leftist in their natural habitat, essentially saying the quiet part out loud, confirming and proving essentially what we already knew. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I will see you on the next one.